you guys. What is up? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I hope that your week is starting off well. I hope that you did something that really filled your cup either this morning, especially if you're a woman. You want to make sure that you're filling your own cup, making yourself happy, because nothing makes you more magnetic in relationships and in business than filling your own cup. Making sure that you are in your joy and your pleasure. That doesn't necessarily mean sexual, but it can. For me, as you know, if you've been following along, nothing makes me more happy than finding a really cool cafe and getting a flat white and sitting down and storying on my Instagram from there. It's like, I seriously feel like I'm the richest woman in the world because I am, right, in that moment. So I hope that you found something like that to do this morning so you are attracting all that you desire today in your business, in your relationship, whatever it is. I'm doing great. And I'm coming in hot with another, vulnerable episode because that's what we do on the Brutally Honest podcast. And this one is one that I think is a really important topic that not enough of us are talking about or giving concrete examples for. Okay, so we've been getting some extraordinary feedback on the podcast. And by the way, I'm just so grateful for all of you who have taken the time to listen, to send me feedback, to, share the episode with people or on your Instagram. I'm so grateful for you for leaving a comment or a rating. Like, it's insane. I feel, again, like I'm just the richest woman in the world right now. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And one of the things that I'm talking about a lot on my Instagram is about getting vulnerable in my relationship with Michael. And the feedback that people are asking for is, okay, so like, what were the step-by-steps that you're doing? Okay, with him, like, what are you doing? And this episode is not going to be about Michael and I, though. This episode's actually going to be about my business, okay? And how I grew a business starting in 2018 from $0 to $30,000 in a couple of short months to six figures in the year, and then continue to double that over the course of the next few years. And then how it all went away. Okay, it went away. And looking back now and knowing what I know, I can see what I did. I can see what I did. And it's a very similar thing to what I've done in my relationships to men. And that is that in the beginning, I am so vulnerable. I'm vulnerable. I'm kind, I'm available, I'm in my joy. Yeah, I'm just someone that's lit up from the inside out and that people want to get to know more and desire, right? They're like, oh my God, what is this woman on? And I've been told that by men, and in the beginning especially, and I've been told that also by people in my community. Like, holy geez, like I couldn't get enough of you. I don't know what it was. And so I'm here to share with you some of the secrets to how I scaled a business so super quickly and how I also totally ruined it. I just ruined it. Okay. And then I'm going to give you some tips because that's what I was saying earlier. People want tips. Okay. They want to know, like, okay, well, what do I say? What do I not say? What do I do? What do I not do? How do I show up? How do I not show up? Okay. So, a lot of that I save for my client containers when I'm working with someone, but I'm going to start to pepper it in here. Okay. So you can take it, you can try it on. And then if you want to go deeper, you can get in touch with me and we can get you all signed up to work with me. Okay. One-on-one. So vulnerability is magnetic, especially as a woman. And it makes people want to come closer to you. It makes people want to talk to you. It makes people want to buy from you. And this isn't manipulative, people, okay? This isn't like some sort of sales tactic. This is the real deal, okay? Because when you decide to be very brave and you decide ideally, that you're going to go and invest in yourself and invest in this business and that it's something that's near and dear to your heart, right? So when you decide that you're going to go all in on something that is near and dear to your heart, right? And you really know it's going to help other women and you're so excited about it, or maybe it's going to help men as well, right? And you're so excited about it and you're really just like clear on, I want this to work because it feels so important and it's going to help a lot of people. So back in 2018, if you listen to, I think it was episode 1 or 2, I think it's episode 2, I talked about how I got fired after like 12 weeks of being, the new head of HR at this awesome ad agency. And from there, I just followed my heart. And my heart said, you want to have your own business. You do. You want that. So at the time, I had this coach and I said to him, okay, listen, I'm going to go all in. And he loved that, right? And he was like, okay, I'm here for you, Kathryn. And he came up with this really wonderful daily, basically a protocol that I was going to follow, something I was going to do every day. And there was several things on that list that I was going to do every day. And looking back, I can see what he was doing. Okay, at the time I didn't get it. But what he was doing was he was having me stay in my joy every single day. And this was going to go on for a month, okay? It was, a 4-week protocol. And I followed this thing to a T. So every morning I would wake up, I would shower, and I would do things that really felt nice for me, okay? So, I love reading a couple pages of a book in the morning. I rarely do it, but, at that time I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get up and I'm going to read a couple pages of a book outside on my picnic bench in my house at the time in Toronto. And that was really fun. And I'm going to meditate. So at the time I was really into meditation. I was using the Calm app maybe, can't remember. And that was really fun for me. I actually really liked doing it. He threw in a couple of other things like visualization, and I think that was kind of it. There was a couple other things. I can't remember what they were. Oh, he had me read some affirmations out loud, but I designed them and they were really fun. Okay. And then he said, and then I want you to just go spend the rest of the day filling your cup. Like whatever you want to do. If you want to go to the museum, if you want to go on a bike ride. And I thought the guy was a little nuts because I was like, I literally just got fired. What he didn't know at the time is that I didn't have a nest egg. In fact, why I took that job was because it had a pretty great salary. And I'm embarrassed to admit that, but it had a really good salary and I'd been carrying some debt and I knew that I was going to pay off that debt really quickly. There was other reasons why I took that position. At the time, I thought that I had a lot of autonomy to make it whatever I wanted to. And it turns out that I actually didn't. Okay. So there was just a little miscommunication there. But, part of it was, wow, this is going to be a really great biweekly paycheck that's going to help me pay off my debt. Well, then I got fired and there was no nest egg and I still had debt. And my coach didn't know this because I had trouble getting vulnerable with him. Okay. And so I was a little reluctant to follow his protocol, which was go and enjoy your day every day for 4 weeks. But I listened to him because I had nothing to lose because I'd been so unhappy in my career for a while now. And I really wanted this coaching thing to become my bread and butter, to become my business, because I knew there was something here for me. I knew I was really good at it and passionate about helping. So every day I would go and do fun things. I would ride about an hour to get to a coffee shop on the other side of the city. It was summertime. It was amazing. I would have a coffee. I would create these awesome stories on Instagram. And then I would come home. I would ride my bike an hour back and I would make these dinners that were so delicious. And I was really into craft beer at the time. And I would crack a craft beer. And I was living it up, guys, living it up. Not making any money, carrying a lot of debt. But I felt genuinely happy. And I was also communicating with people on Instagram all day, every day. Not because anybody told me I should or because I thought that was like a strategy that could help me build my business. I was doing it because it made me so happy. So happy. It still does. Okay. So I was communicating from this place that made me so, so, so happy. And I was also being very vulnerable with people. Like I was very available to them. It wasn't like, hey, you're not paying me, so I can't help you. Like none of that weird like gatekeeping or withholding, none of that. I was so generous and from a place of I wanted to be. It felt really good. I didn't feel taken advantage of. I didn't feel like I was crossing any boundaries. Like I felt so good. Within a month, I started to attract coaching clients. I kid you not. And it was like, oh my God, this is happening. I wasn't exactly sure what was working, by the way. People were just coming to me on Instagram and saying, hey, I'd love to learn more about your coaching. So this was 2018. very quickly, my business started to grow. I went from one client to 3 to 7 to 10 to 15. Like, it was happening. No overhead, no office. I was meeting most of these people in a cafe, which also made me so happy, right? And that was very vulnerable for me to admit, I don't have an office. We're just going to meet in a cafe. I'm not perfect. I don't have all this structure yet. I was using Google Docs, right, to write people's, protocols that I would write for them. I was really letting people see me and see me in this building process, and that I was imperfect, right? So fast forward, like now it's like 2020, the pandemic is starting, I sell everything and I move from Toronto to LA, and I arrive in LA, and again, I am lit up, happy, 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 happy every day, genuinely. And my business starts to boom to the point where I now have 25 clients at a time. And I'm being so honest and real. And even though I have 25 clients now, I'm still responding to all my DMs because I want to, not because I think I have to. Nobody said like, hey, that's probably a good idea if you do. I wasn't listening to anybody. I was just like, of course I'd respond. And people were asking me questions about coaching and for my insight. And I was like, I got you. I got time. It was great. Then I moved to Mexico for a couple of months, and that was just like the heyday. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I had this gorgeous house. It was called an adobe. It's like basically made of like, I don't know, cement or clay. It kept it really cool in the summer. I remember just like thinking to myself, like, pinch me. Everything is going so well. And I feel very alive. Like you could just see my vitality oozing online. You can't fake that shit, right? So that's all going great. And oh my God, like it's just so wonderful. I'm feeling very connected. And then I decide I'm going to work with this coach that is really well known in the industry, the coaching industry. I'd been following him for quite a few years. I've followed his wife for many years, and I really looked up to them. At the same time, I started to date my ex-husband, Chris. And I had decided that Chris and I would work with this coach. And, we had a couple back and forths before we signed on with him. And this was going to be like a 6-month contract with him. So what I noticed about this coach was that he wasn't particularly in touch all the time. He wasn't messaging me, on Instagram. I had to do a lot of the work, right? I mean, he scheduled a discovery with me. He was like so generous during that discovery. He was on time. Like it was wonderful. He followed up. But it always felt like there was this like client coach relationship that I hadn't had with my clients. And I actually started to get a little embarrassed about how vulnerable and available I'd been with people on the internet, on my DMs and my clients. And I started to question what I'd been doing and if I'd been weak. Was I being weak? And I started to feel grossed out about how, again, vulnerable and available I'd been. And then I decided, I got to fix this. So I started to open up my DMs every day, take a look at them, maybe not respond right away or at all. And I decided that, well, if you're not paying me, I'm not here to just offer free advice. So you're going to have to figure it out. No, I didn't say that to these people, but I thought about it. And I decided that on my Instagram stories, I was going to get a little more serious. I was going to stop being fun. I was going to stop being, my sweet, unabashed, silly side that I'd been revealing. And I was going to become more of like a teacher. Maybe wear, more sophisticated outfits and change my voice, make it more, stern. And that's what I did. And then I went into my master's program, my master's in coaching. And I really looked up to the 4 people who started the school. And I was really impressed by them. And I happen to have noticed that they too, 2 women and 2 men, they're kind of more serious, right? You can feel that there is this almost, I wouldn't say it's a hierarchy, but there is definitely some sort of line that's drawn between you and them. I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm really embarrassed for how available I've been and vulnerable. What was I thinking? And how much of a joke I was that I scaled my business doing that. Isn't that wild? I literally scaled to multiple six figures doing that. And I started to question all of it. So there I am. I stopped being vulnerable completely, even somewhat with clients. I was definitely withholding some details about my relationship with certain clients. And see, what had made me so successful is that I was very relatable. I would say to people, oh my God, same girl, right? Oh my God, I totally have done that. And then since my coaches weren't doing that, and I wasn't seeing that in my master's program, I stopped doing that. I almost became unrelatable, but I also became unfamiliar to myself. And I would have to think about what I was saying all the time. And it became work. And you know what it also did? My revenue started going way down. I didn't like my business anymore. I didn't even know if I wanted to do this anymore. In fact, that went on for a couple of years. And I was so confused as to what had happened. I just chalked it up to, oh, during COVID, all these people had money and they were bored. So lots of coaches like myself, our business boomed. I bought into that for sure. I also bought into, oh, I must have exhausted my whole community on Instagram. That's why, everybody's done my work. So, okay, that's why I'm not bringing in any more revenue. Okay. I literally thought all these things were the issue. Okay. And I was really scared. I'm going to be honest with you. I was really scared. And I started to think about, oh my God, I might have to go and get a 9-to-5 job. Okay. Right. And I actually started to hire some people to see if they could figure it out for me. Oh, that's amazing. None of them could figure it out. And also, none of them gave me the advice to go back to the beginning and ask me, well, what was working? None of them. And I also couldn't find any coaches that were teaching how to be vulnerable. So that's really interesting. Probably because I was supposed to do that. So fast forward, I go through this divorce. I moved to Mexico for a short amount of time from LA. Then I end up moving in with my parents in Ontario, Canada, because there's no more money. I've run out because I must have exhausted all of the people on the internet because they've all done my work by now. Or I must have just been a fluke. COVID, people had money and they were bored. So we're not in COVID anymore. So that's probably the problem. I'm sitting with all that. And then I came to the West Coast, right? And I met my dreamy guy and, we're falling in love. And shortly thereafter we move in together. And now I'm a full-time parent to, his daughters because his wife had passed away the year before. And I'm working on understanding my role and how this is all going to go and why I'm here. And, I'm working on my relationship with my guy. And one of the things that comes up in my relationship is that everything was amazing in the beginning. Dreamy. And then I moved in and I stopped being vulnerable and I got really controlling. And I started to listen to relationship advice that does not work. And it's funny because I actually started listening to business advice that does not work. None of this gatekeeping, none of this stinginess. It just doesn't work, guys. Okay? So I start to realize that I've stopped being vulnerable with my dreamy guy, and he's no longer giving me the bedroom eyes. He no longer is seeking me out the way he did. I'm not getting all these gorgeous little presents from him, or taps on the bum, or, hand holding. And I start to get really scared. And I start to wonder if I've chosen the wrong guy again, right? Holy shitballs. Have I done this again? Have I made a mistake? And I start to analyze him and look for all the things that might be wrong with him, slapping different labels on him, like, oh, I think he's ADHD, he's avoidant, the attachment styles. And I'm looking for all these problems in him, like I was looking for all the problems, like, oh, coaching must have really hit its peak during the pandemic, right? Or I must have exhausted people in my list. I'm looking for all of the issues in him, right? As we do. coming up with so many because, whenever you go looking for evidence, you'll find it. And it turns out that the issue is that I have stopped being vulnerable with him. I've just stopped being available. I've been too controlling. I've been withholding. I've been too mothering and parental, which I did in my business too after a while. I was so afraid that I'd been too friendly because I saw that my coaches weren't like that. And I was like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed. I've been way too friendly. Way too friendly. I started to think it was like a joke that I'd made all this money. What the fuck happened? It's gotta be a fluke. All right. So anyway, in my relationship with Michael, I started to realize I've really stopped being vulnerable. I've stopped being in my joy. I've stopped being me. And of course, what happened is Michael pulled back. He pulled away. Same thing happened in my business. So then I start to look at, well, where else is this happening? And there it was, hiding in plain sight. You started hiding. And when you started hiding from your community, and when you got all serious, and you got all coachy, and you got all gatekeepy, all that, yeah, the revenue stopped coming in. That was it. I was no longer this magnet the way that I had been. Now, I don't think anybody's going to know that that was what happened, or they might not be able to put their finger on it. Or some of you listening might be like, yeah, you did get kind of serious. I did notice that. Perhaps someone will. And I see it. I do. I actually thought I was kind of better than people. And I did that in my relationship and in my marriage. I thought I was better than Michael. I thought I was better than Chris. We've all done this. This is why I'm sharing this with you, because I know, because I've met with so many of you, that you have done this and it's okay. And, you can admit you're embarrassed about it. Blah. You're like, oh gosh, what was I doing? Right? I thought I was better than people because I'd done all this work and I was making all this money, but I was empty because I'd lost myself in the whole thing. I became what I thought other people wanted me to be, or what I saw was leading to other people's success. Dang it, boo. So once I realized that, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't need to close the doors of my business. What I need to do is get back to the basics, get back to what made me magnetic to this community. And that was being brutally honest and also being available. I don't care how much money I make. I'm available. I don't need to pull back in my DMs. Even if you have been in there for years with me and you've never pulled the trigger on working with me, I'm still going to talk to you. That's okay. Faith over fear, trust that it's all going to work out, So I'm going to give you guys some tips now that I've shared that really brutally honest truth about my business, especially if you are, someone who's building an online platform and you're onto something and you've got a gift and you're not buying into any of that. Oh, it's all very saturated. You're not buying into any of that. And you're also a woman who's very open. See, our community is made up of women who are really open. This won't be for everybody, okay? It won't. And there might be some people who try and it doesn't work for them, okay? Because maybe they're not open the way that you and I are. So a couple of things that I'll suggest. Be available to be a student, be new, be available to be in communication with your audience. None of this hierarchy stuff. So if you desire to get into it with someone, if they're asking you for advice and you're like, oh, I would love to offer this person some advice, okay, do it. Now, if you really don't want to, and you're just not something you would do naturally, then don't do it. But there's nothing more attractive right now than an online business person or influencer who is generous with their time, especially if you're a woman. It really is magnetic. There is something to it. There's a science to it. So go ahead and respond to people in DMs for as long as you want, in as much characters as you want, or voice notes. Okay, I don't care how much money you've made. Don't get stingy. It will impact your business, I promise you. I have seen people who I really loved having conversations with at some point, and then they sort of got gatekeepy, and I was like, darn, I really liked you when you were more of a friend to me. And some of them I was close to even signing on with, and I decided not to. So get in there. Get in with people, okay? Choose faith over fear. It's all unfolding the way it's supposed to for you. Also, let people into your world on your stories, okay? It's interesting. There was this woman that Michael saw the other day. She's part of this female community. It's based, I think, in the UK. And Michael likes the look of it, and he wanted to show me because he thinks that, it would be a great place for me to go. Perhaps take a plane ride across the pond and go to this event. And, especially as this podcast starts to really take off right now, and go and represent it and share with people. So I was like, okay, well, show me the woman who's leading it. And he shows me, and man, she's a wonderful speaker. And she's got this gorgeous, accent, and she's dressed so well, and she's just on fire. But she doesn't let you get to know her at all. At all. And I'm considering okay, well, should I go spend thousands of dollars to do this, right? But I don't want to because I don't feel like she's being vulnerable enough. She's not being vulnerable enough. I want to know her. I want to get to know her. I want to know her story. I want to know what keeps her up at night. I want to know where she's shitting the bed. I want to know all those things. And I don't see her offering me that. And so those are the only women that I want to surround myself with, right? So I wasn't getting that vibe. So I was like, you know what, babe, I love this. And that's a beautiful idea that I should go there. And thank you for showing me this. I always want to show Michael crazy respect when he brings me his ideas and his offerings for me. And I said, but I want to work with someone who's pulling back the veil and showing us all of what's imperfect. So that is my second piece of advice to you. Pull back the veil on your stories, guys. People are really drawn to radical honesty, brutal honesty. They're drawn to vulnerability. They are. People are eating that up. It feels really good. It feels like you can really trust that and really get close to that, right? You want to give your money to that. I do. And clearly, it worked for me as a client, but also as a business owner. Okay, so be vulnerable with your community. Let them in on your stuff. Be imperfect. Show up messy. It's great. Talk about the mistakes you're making. Talk about how embarrassing it's been. Talk about how you once preached one thing and now you're preaching another because you've grown up and learned. That is so attractive to me when women do that. I'm like, oh my God, I need to know more about this woman. I want to work with you. I've done all that. And whenever I do that, literally everything I want comes to me. Everything. Not just money, but good things. Success with my clients comes, and the ripple effect in their lives is huge too when I get really vulnerable with my clients. But get vulnerable on your socials. I'm telling you, it'll pay off. You'll see. It really will. So I wanted to give you guys a couple of those tips because I know everybody's always looking for, okay, so what can I do? What can I say? Take yourself off the pedestal. That's what I will say. I put myself on a pedestal in my relationships and in my business, and it actually backfired. It backfired. And I'm so glad that I figured it out and that I'm responsible for the backfire. I thought that it was something outside of me. I thought it was the economy, or I thought it was oversaturation. It's neither of those things. I promise you. All right. I love you. Listen, if you enjoyed this episode, go and give it a 5-star rating if that feels appropriate for you. Or go leave a comment or a like or share. It means the world to me. You guys are my crew. I adore you. I do this for you, okay? And I love being in your ear every Monday. It's like my most favorite day of the week right now. All right? So it would mean the world to me because this information needs to reach the ears and hearts of way more women around the world. And if you guys are liking it, then it'll get out to more people, okay? So please do that if you feel called. And otherwise, I love you. Go be vulnerable. And I'll see you next Monday. Mwah.